Hi, everyone. My name is Ann Mossop, and today we're going to be talking about occupational research for your job search. And I love this quote. It's by Milton Berle. And if anybody can reinvent and recreate and rethink himself through the entirety of his life, it was Milton Berle, a 50s, 40s comic. If opportunity doesn't knock, build a door. And that's pretty much what we're recommending to you today. You have to be tenacious. You have to put yourself out there. And what does that mean in today's world? It's not hiding at home or being a couch potato, that's for sure. So what we're going to do today is take a really quick look at some of the things that you need to get going on right away if you're in job search mode. But before you start firing off resumes, you have to take stock of yourself and you have to do some occupational research. So during today's presentation, please take some notes. I'm Ann Mossop, and I'm located at the Downsview location, which is in between Shepherd West and Downsview Park subways, right in the middle, just north of the Downsview Park. My name is Ann, as I said, and the word, recently we did career discovery, and we had to use a word to describe ourselves. And my word that I would use to describe myself is catalyst. So I'm hoping that I am able to be that catalyst and get you up out of your chairs and moving forward and actively listening today and actively gaining insights into the market. So our agenda is a little bit of a warm-up and introduction. There is a future work video, which is kind of our warm-up. Assess yourself against the market. I'm going to go in and take a look at different government websites, primarily the Canada.ca website. I'll also make reference to the Ontario websites for labor market information and finding out more about the job that you want to do. We'll begin a SWOT analysis, and that is, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And what are the trends and threats in the market right now? And what opportunities are out there too? Because even at the worst of times, there's other opportunities that arise out of a crisis. So you never know what's going to happen. Once we've identified maybe areas of weakness and we feel good about our areas of strength, we need to start setting some goals. You can't just fly by the seat of your pants in a job search. You will end up with torn pants. You need to make a commitment to lifelong learning and education. This is a great time to step back, assess, figure out where we are, figure out where our shortcomings are, what our strengths are, where we can hone in and see opportunities and turn them into strengths as well. So being agile and being able to think on your feet is really important. There are lots of resources for research. I'm going to actually go in and show you. And you also need to write accomplishment statements. We usually use PAR, which is Problem Action Result, or CAR, Challenge Action Result, for your resumes, for informational interviews, and for interviews. Employers want to know your achievements, your accomplishments. They don't want to hear duties, job duties. That doesn't tell them anything. So expressing yourself in a way that meets the market expectations is very important in today's market. And then we'll wrap up. You're going to have to do some of the heavy lifting. It's not up to us to do it. This is your career. This is your job search. Do some of the heavy lifting, do the background, and then you can begin to move forward. So a SWOT analysis, just quickly, you can find this anywhere on the internet. Write this down. It stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and trends. And what we need to do is we need to make a list, a proper list of our strong skills, things that we've accomplished, our education, certification, our experience, all the things that are strengths in our favor in the market right now. In the upper right-hand side are weaknesses, a skill that you need to have and you don't have it. In today's world, it's almost impossible to job search if you don't have computer skills, if you can't do a resume, or if you can't adjust your resume and target it for things. So what are your weaknesses that you need to address? Computers have been around for a long time. They're not really going anywhere. Certainly you can do a lot with a phone now, but computer skills are pretty much essential, even in warehousing or in some manufacturing jobs. Sorry, I had to sneeze there. The bottom right-hand side, trends and threats. Trends can be threats. We certainly are experiencing different trends now. There's a trend towards self-employment. There's a trend towards, if you're an older, more experienced, mature worker, why not get 2 part-time jobs and cobble them together? My husband's been doing that for years. He loves his life. He has time for his passion as a music teacher now and has a part-time job in the morning just to cover things off. He couldn't be happier. So are there advantages that you can take in the market that you're not aware of? Opportunities. This is a perfect time to network, folks. Are you on LinkedIn? Are you on Facebook? Facebook isn't really, it's a great way to stay in touch with friends and family. LinkedIn is really the tool for professional networking. But if you don't have a presence in today's world, you don't exist pretty much. And it's not me commenting on it, it's how the world views it. Certainly an employer, it's an expectation that you're savvy and that you can do that. So once we've done a SWOT analysis, and actually I'll come back to that, just write a cross on a page and write S.W.O.T. and write out a comprehensive list. You have to have some idea. Nobody's perfect. And it's the weakness question is always a question in an interview. So reflect and take the time. You can pause the presentation and reflect and then continue, or we can continue and it's something that you can do at the end. The thing is to be honest with yourself. Ask other people for feedback, because a lot of times I see people in person or in webinars, or if we're counseling people or if we're talking to people, and they'll claim they have really great customer service skills. And it's like, I just want to shake my head, because there's no eye contact, there's no warmth in their voice, they're turned away from you. It's like, how can you have good customer service? You need to be honest. Saying it, yeah, is one thing. Being able to live it and do it is really quite another. So the message here is you're as good as you are right now, standing in front of me, looking in the mirror. Nobody's perfect. There has to be something that you need to develop, something that you need to reflect on, something that you can improve, course that you can take, a webinar that you can attend, volunteering that you can do. Volunteering is a great way to gain skills. Be proactive and engaged in your career future. Where do you want to get to? And you always have to demonstrate quality and finesse when you're communicating your value, whether it's your resume, cover letters, telephone, interviews, whatever it is. You have to come across as somebody who has that finesse and all the skills that an employer is looking for. So yeah, just write an X on your page. It's just a simple snapshot of who you are. Even if you come up with 3 in each category right now, it gets you thinking about what are the advantages, what are some of the things that maybe you have to overcome. Yeah, just draw an X on a page. You can pause and stop this, or you do it immediately afterwards. And then you have to decide, okay, what are my priorities? If it's your job search, or if you're just going to jump into job searching, you need to research the market. That is your first priority. You need to assess yourself against the market. What are you missing? What do you have? What is your strengths? Are you able to communicate it in a way that employers are looking for? Is your resume applicant tracking friendly? Is the only way that you're applying for jobs online? Are you taking advantage of this time to network with people online through LinkedIn or through Facebook? You know, what are your priorities right now? If you've got a resume and you're not hearing anything back, then you have to step back and you have to assess yourself. Take a look. Is something missing? Is your resume appropriate in today's market? You cannot send a resume out that's a year old or 2 years. It's constantly changing, it's constantly evolving, and you cannot get away without having keywords on your resume with the expectation that you're going to be chosen for an interview. So, what do you have to be aware of? And think in terms of research, career planning, education and training, and job searching. What are your most important things that you have to act on after this webinar? Regardless of what you think, I'm going to tell you the truth. Is it helpful? If you listen, it's helpful. Is it inspiring? It should be to make changes. Is it necessary? It really is necessary. It's not always good to get bad news that we've been doing something incorrectly or we have a wrong perception of it. But it is necessary in order for us to be successful. And is it kind? Well, being kind and not giving proper feedback or feedback that's going to be helpful to you, that's not being kind. It's kinder to have the right feedback and to know what you need to change and what you need to do to improve and to uh, up your game and be successful. It's better to know than to not know. So, and I think that's always been the case in employment. You don't want to be that person who's 6 months from now, 6 years, Lord, 6 months from now comes back and says, "Oh, I wish I'd known you were here. Um, and I wish I knew that I was doing things incorrectly." Well, this is the chance to empty what information. Let's say you have a cup of liquid and there's some liquid in that cup. Empty that cup and let's start over fresh with fresh ears and realize that there are changes that we need to make even in our own approach with employers. Um, So here I am. I'm on the Government of Canada, canada.ca website. There is a section for career quizzes and tests. This is a process that we go through. We actually recently did career discovery. You may want to keep that open as an option in the future for a more in-depth career discovery. But the government website has some great things that you can access and you can jump onto. All you need to do, all I did was Google canada.ca career quizzes, and this is what came up. So if you take a look at the right-hand side, field of study, going in live, educational program. Let's say I want to be an architectural technician. Try that. Architectural drafting, architectural CAD. So it will bring up, here are some frequently asked questions. about the career tool itself. It tells us earnings. It gives us all kinds of great information on an occupation. Career quizzes on our interests. There's 50 questions that you can run through, and it will give you some idea of your interests. And the 4 things that we always look at are your interests, your abilities, your skills, your strengths, your experience, your values, and your personality. So you can there's all kinds of wonderful quizzes and things that you can do just on Service Canada. Job profiles, I'm not sure if the architectural occupation. Let's see, welder. We'll see what comes up. Yeah, there's so many different kinds. Let me just go back up to the, let's just say we're a spot welder. We make barbecues, or I have done that in the past. You've done spot welding. So my skills might transfer somewhere else. So the territory I'm going to look at Toronto. And you can actually look them up, Mississauga, all of those would be individual. It gives us a description of the welder. The future prospects are fair. We can view those future prospects. Anything with 3 stars is good, really good. And they're only projecting out 3 years at this point anyways. Anything with 1 star is very limited demand. Remember, it's labor market. All of labor market falls under the education, the requirements, the wages, the skills. It involves the universities, the colleges, the government, politicians, employers, workers. Labor market touches and impacts absolutely everything. So we can get a good overview. We might be able to even get, learn more about jobs elsewhere in Canada, maybe the demand out west. Usually if it's the opposite. Right now, it might not be easy to move back and forth. But these are things that you can look into. Prevailing wages, the low end of the spectrum, don't expect to get 35 if you're around that area. There is high demand right now and there is limited demand right now until things start to move again, and lots of supply. So amazing website for job searching. We can search jobs. We can set up alerts. I can just put the job title, the city where I want it, my email address. I can subscribe and I will get automatic alerts sent to me every day that will tell me what's new, am I interested, and you can filter it and limit it, but just don't enter customer service. You'll get everything on the planet that's got customer service. You have to be fairly specific about maybe the industry or what you're interested in. So career planning, the fields of study, those quizzes that I was talking about, job profiles, and a skills checklist for a profile. So let's take a look at a profile. Let's do welder again. And it was just spot welder. Ontario. It could be Mississauga, let's say, near Toronto. All the things that it falls under. other related occupations that might be close. And the benefit of this too for your resume is when you're describing your skills under your support statements, it gives you an overall description of the job. But if we put these in past tense, they all start with a verb. If we make it our action verb at the beginning, read and interpreted blueprints, operated manual or semi, you're not, make it yours, but this gives you some wording to work with. And it can be very, very handy in helping you to put your resume together. If we take a look at wages, we have to be realistic. The summary of the job, let's see. It's fair, prospects, colleges or apprenticeships. There's 63 jobs in Ontario. Prospects we already looked at. Let's take a look at jobs. So we've sort of pulled everything from different areas. We can take a look. Sounds pretty quality home remodeling. These job descriptions aren't the most comprehensive simply because mostly when the employer is filling it out, it's a very simple tick the boxes kind of job profile that they're putting together. So it's not always as comprehensive as maybe we would like. Explore the market. We can try our welder again. It just actually takes us back out and we can look into different things. Spot welder was what I was looking at before. Hiring. Post a job. If you're having any problems, there's all kinds of support. One of the great things about this is also where you enter a different portal for your employment insurance and also for, there are so many wonderful things that Service Canada does. And so much information that's out there, easy to navigate. First thing you want to do is take a look at what does the information say. Go through everything. Do a trend analysis. Take a look at your job. Take a look at your resume. What are you looking for? Be realistic. Wages, there's going to be a lot of supply and not as much demand. Wages, in all likelihood, are not going to be at the same level as they were prior to recent events. So adjust your thinking accordingly. Working is always better than not working. Some of you, your CERB may be running out soon, and you really need to be cognizant of, okay, what are my next steps? How am I going to get there? So we're back. We share. A new share. Sorry, I'm still here. Hang on. Trying to get this back into presentation form. So some of the information that we will be getting shortly, I want to show you a quick video clip. It's not necessarily what you want to hear, but it's probably what you need to know. So hang on, and we are going to switch over. Oops, hang on, sorry, back. We're going to switch over to a video. Sorry.
Once upon a time, business as usual was often good enough. No more. Where we are going, good enough is dead. In a world where everything is connected, where everything is equally excellent, where performance is reaching perfection, there's only one space left to innovate in: you. Right now, you are a central point in the raging tornado of change fueled by digitization, mobilization, augmentation, disintermediation, automation. Well, the list goes on. Science fiction is becoming science fact. Think about self-driving cars or computers that can learn and think. The way we work will never be the same. The skills we need will be dramatically different. Winning or losing are now happening faster than ever before. So what's your response? How will you discover new opportunities in one of the most transformational times in human history? Are you driving change, or are you being driven by it? Disruption has become the new normal. With change, it's always gradually, then suddenly, well, things really have stopped happening gradually. This change is exponential. Everything that used to be dumb and disconnected is now wired and intelligent. Cars, cities, ports, farms, even our bodies will be wired with sensors and will talk to each other. These game changers are also combinatorial. They amplify each other, creating a perfect storm of change. Quantum computing fuels big data. The Internet of Things fuels artificial intelligence and deep learning, which fuels robotics. However, anything that cannot be digitized or automated will become extremely valuable. Human-only traits such as creativity, imagination, intuition, emotion, and ethics will be even more important in the future, because machines are very good at simulating, but not at being. Yes, robots and software will do some of our work, but this will allow us to focus on things that cannot be automated. To imagine change squared, you've got to start engaging more with what might be, not just with what is. Immerse yourself in the immediate future, 5 to 7 years out from today. We need to go beyond technology and data to reach human insights and wisdom. Technology represents the how of change, but humans represent the why. The future is about holistic business model. The opportunity is to be liquid, to learn just in time, not just in case, not single improvements, but complete transformations, not individual systems, but new ecosystems. Humanity is where true and lasting value is created. We will engage, relate, and buy things because of the experiences they provide, because of their transformative power. The future doesn't just happen, the future gets happened. The new way to work is to embrace technology, but not to become it. The future is in technology, yet the bigger future lies in transcending it. Let's live and lead from here.
So are some of those things not necessarily things that we want to hear? Probably, but if you have children, we have to sort of keep thinking towards the future as well. And we always have to be thinking ahead as adults for our own longevity in the market as well. Is it true? Well, it looks like things are heading in the direction. AI and robotics is big in manufacturing. Is this information helpful? Well, it helps us to think ahead. Is it inspiring? It should be, to improve oneself and to pass on this information to our own children. Is it necessary? It's going to happen. We do have to be aware of changes. Is it kind? No, sometimes change can be really, really difficult. And this may be hard on some of us, especially if we're more mature and more experienced. So we're back, and let's think in terms now of, well, where do we go? What is a short-term strategy for us? Do we have a strategy? Most people have no strategy other than just sitting on a computer and firing off a whole bunch of really terrible resumes to lots of people who are 70% of them are totally rejected because of formatting errors. So our short-term strategy under 6 months, and we can have a plan out for the next 2 months in particular, scheduling our time, schedule learning every day and job research and job search into our day, attending the webinars and making sure that you know what a resume looks like in today's world, all the factors that you have to include. You take this time perhaps to take a look at and step back and assess, okay, I need this certification or I need to upgrade this, and implement those plans. Knowing something means nothing if we don't plan for it today. Why do we plan? We plan so that we can plan today what we want to accomplish tomorrow, and just don't fly by the seat of your pants. Just don't leave it to chance. You have everything to gain and nothing to lose by becoming a client at one of the Next Steps employment centers, and by coming up with a strategic plan as to how you're going to get all the things in place that you need in order to be successful in your job search. And that includes labor market, which we've covered briefly. Labor market information. Everybody kind of glazes over when you say labor market information, but we've already looked at it, a lot of it anyways. What website did I take you to and show you all kinds of information that you can look up on many different jobs that might be related to what you're doing or what you're looking for? Do you remember? Did you write it down? Write it down now. We went to Canada.ca. We were looking at, I went to Google and all I Googled in there was Canada.ca career quizzes, and that career quiz page comes up right on the right page for Service Canada. We took a look at some of the wages and the trends and the demand. It tells us how many stars it has, what skills are required, what educational requirements are there. And the current circumstances are indeed exceptional. But, you know, employers have been complaining about a skills gap for more than a decade, and we've always known that that was going to happen. And it's not in technology. If you're coming here from another country, technology transfers. But communication skills or leadership or management development, that's what employers are looking for. And there is a lack also in certain computer skills, but for the most part, it's leadership and self-management, professional development. There's a real gap in the market and in people that they're looking for. And this continues to be a challenge for workers and employers equally alike. So we need to decide to set some smarter goals. Once we've figured out what we need to do, we have to be specific. It has to be measurable, agreed upon, realistic, timeline. We have to approach it with energy, and it has to be regularly reinforced. And if you're writing a smarter goal, if your plan is to be employed, let's say you pick a date, and that's quite reasonable to do. I want to be employed by October 31st, you know, and so on. And my family is going to support me, and I'm going to donate, or I'm going to contribute and collaborate 8 hours a day towards job search. I'm going to have a weekly check-in and we can talk about it. I have to start acting on it right away, just after the goal. You don't set the goal and then walk away. You begin acting on it and you review it, say on a weekly basis, if this is something that you're serious about. What gets measured gets done. Well, what gets agreed upon, even within yourself, is part of a motivator. Lets everybody else know what page you're on. And even with the kids, you can set things like this, set smarter goals. And then everybody's working together instead of against each other. So you could have all kinds of goals. Just write smarter down the side of a page and set, small goals or larger goals in your handout for the career discovery. If people that attended career discovery, we had some of those benchmarks. And you have to act on it and review it frequently in order to accomplish anything. And people have become a little bit demotivated, but nobody can put a spark in you at this point other than you. So what can you do over the next 2 months? Set smaller goals for yourself. And you can do your research. You can get a good resume in place. You can get cover letters in place. You can have everything, your marketing pieces, and be knowledgeable about the market and be job searching quite actively in those 2 months. But don't put a linked up page out there if you don't have one now and it doesn't meet market standards. You're better to wait, do it properly, and follow through. Make sure that you know how to do it properly, and set those goals and make yourself present to an employer's eyes and world. Here we have a great website that everybody should really be aware of. Certainly you're aware of it through your job search, perhaps, but did you know that Indeed has a career guide that is absolutely an amazing website? Here I've gone in and I'm sharing the website with you. There's a skills assessment. What are hard skills? All kinds of great assessments that you can take. Setting your goals to improve your goals, listening and active listening skills, just a whole cornucopia, a whole trove of treasure chest of information on this website, and even talking about resumes and cover letters, and some good examples to take a look. Now, we do ask that you follow what we're telling you in a lot of cases, because it is what we're telling you is the same thing. It's just that we're a lot more targeted in our approach because that's what employers are looking for. And it's nice to have that support and guidance with your employment advisor and with other people, even through the webinar. So you're on the right track, you're doing the right things. Write this down. It's under, this for instance is www.indeed.com/career-resumes-cover-letters. But I mean, if you just pull up the up to the /career advice, you'll get a hold of it. And as I said, look at all this wonderful information. More, let's see what's under more. Let's see, let's take a look at a sample. Yeah, it's not really what we recommend in a broader sense. I love these little clips. Let me see if I can play this one for you.
Resumes are door openers. They're your first impression. Good news is you also get the first word. The bottom line is that there are words to include and words to avoid. With my thought leadership and core competency on this topic, you'll be able to think outside of the box and really move the needle. Trust me, I'm a hard worker and it's all in my wheelhouse. Now, if what I just said sounded off, you're not wrong. Half of the words I used are actually ones to avoid on your resume. Don't remember which ones? Those are no-nos. No business lingo, no givens, and nothing too general. Now, I'll show you the words you want to include. Strong action verbs that speak to your value at past jobs. To convey your communication skills, use words like collaborated, conveyed, instructed, performed. For creative positions, get crafty with authored, brainstormed, briefed, communicated, conceptualized. For financial gigs, these pay off. Audited, classified, halted, equalized, dispensed. For sales, these words sound marketable, captured, conserved, converted, earned, generated. Lastly, for all those tech positions, get technical with words like advanced, architected, automated, coded, deployed. Well, I think that's everything. Remember that the smallest moves are sometimes the smartest. Like and subscribe for more tips.
So there's all kinds of additional benefits. Yeah, even different types of resumes to help you get started. But yeah, nobody goes through this by themselves, and you shouldn't be in isolation. You need to connect, and getting out there is more important than ever. So you're doing all the right things as far as connecting with us is concerned. Back to the presentation. There we go. So how is today's information relevant? You need to be prepared for future employment. You need to be the best of the best, because employers can choose the best candidates with superior resume and cover letter and branding, having an internet presence, and excellent interview skills and job search preparation. It's going to boil down to just that, and you have to be savvy and know what you're doing, because going forward, it's going to be competitive. There's going to be a lot of supply and perhaps not as much demand, so it demands excellence from you. Mediocre, it won't cut it anymore. Good enough will not be good enough in the future. You can't fly by the seat of your pants. What is it? Success is when opportunity is when preparation meets planning, or whatever. I mean, you get the gist of what I mean. It's like nothing is a fluke. Wrong word. If it's on time, it's a fluke. It's a joke. Anyways, I digress. The most prepared candidates who are savvy with their hard and technical skills, their soft skills, their education, their own self-awareness in presenting themselves and meeting market standards, that's who's going to be successful, and that requires that mindset of excellence. Now, some of us have various different circumstantial factors that we have to keep in mind as well. You have to consider daycare. We have to consider a family income. Who's going to be the supports in different situations? What is our focus going to be? And keeping stress levels down, and so on. But making it something that is a family, we do have those choices. I'm not a product of my circumstances. I'm a product of my decisions. So we need to make some decisions. We need to be in action mode. We need to schedule our time. I'm suggesting 6 weeks out at least, have a family calendar. Definitely have my own calendar and my own time devoted to job search, and making sure I'm excellent at how I'm presenting myself and what I'm doing, because my future depends on it. With Stephen Covey's 7 Habits, I like Stephen Covey, you have to renew yourself. We've all had to sort of readjust our thinking. If going through this pandemic hasn't changed your view of life, then I kind of don't know where you were because it sure woke me up. It sure changed how I think. And that's not such a bad thing. Um, Shifting our perspective, changing our paradigm of the world, renewing ourselves, and sharpening our skills for the market, making sure we know who we are and how we're presenting ourselves. We have to make sure we're the best of the best. And finally, we come to accomplishment or achievement statements. These are really important because that's what employers are looking for on your resume and when you sit down and talk to them face to face. You need to tell stories, lists of words. I have organization and planning and customer service. Repetitively, not expanding on it, it tells me absolutely nothing. I need to hear a story from you. So we have a formula that we use, and I've been using it for years and writing accomplishment statements. And we sort of didn't want to show you two, but they're two very close. One is CAR and the other is PAR. And the reason why those two are, they're short, they're simple, they're easy. CAR, we'll see in a moment what it stands for. But these accomplishment statements, these stories that we're telling to communicate our value to an employer, and especially when we're answering behavioral questions, we have to have that formula. We have to make it clear to the other person what we have and what we offer and that we've done it before. So they're not looking for people who have problems. They're looking for people who can solve problems. So it's either for PAR, it's problem, action, result, or maybe an upper management, sort of middle up or higher end salary would be talking more about challenges, but we're all hired to solve problems. So it's just whatever you prefer, CAR or PAR. They're on your resume, and as I said, they're your responses to behavioral questions. And it's definitely cause and effect. The next action, what action did we take, and what was the end result or the benefit? And this is music to an employer's ears. This is what they want to hear. What benefit are you going to be to me? What results are you going to create for me? So, what's in it for me? The old WIFM is how an employer thinks. We think the same way, but we have to realize he's the guy with the bag of gold, and we want the bag of gold. We want the job. So we do have to make some compromises, and we do have to be somewhat flexible and adaptable in today's world. So it can't always be on the side of what you want. It's a consideration, but you have to balance it. So CAR is challenge plus action equals results, or challenge, action, results. It's a method and a structure to answering questions, to writing on your resume as well. And behavioral questions are questions like, tell me about a time in the past when you had a conflict with someone. What did you do about it? You can't just say, oh, I've never had a conflict with my boss. In the context of our business environment, it could be something as simple as a difference of opinion. And they aren't looking for people who are malleable and easily pushed around on roller skates. Well, at least they don't say that's what they want. They're looking for people who have some backbone and who can, present their ideas and have that influence. Influencing skills are huge in today's market. Another skill that maybe you weren't aware of. You have to be able to influence others. So what was a challenge? In the case of this, I might answer it Tell me about a time in the past when you had a conflict with a supervisor. How did you deal with it? Well, there was a time when we were planning our spring campaign, and my manager had some ideas, great ideas, and I sort of had some really good ideas that we hadn't tried before. So what we did was we got together and we mind mapped out on a whiteboard, and sort of spurred each other on and brainstormed and came up with a great plan for the campaign for the spring. And we exceeded our totals over last year by 10%. So you're taking something that is conflict and disagreement, you're showing your ability to influence and so on. So organize, one example can say so many things: communication skills, organization, compromising, conflict resolution, all kinds of things. So describe a challenge that you faced, describe the action and what you did, and describe the result. Tell your story. Be brief and be brilliant. And you can only do that by actually writing out different examples. We all have phones now. You can record it, you can tape yourself, you can see what you look like, you can get everybody to interview you, you can try different questions. There's all kinds of ways that we can practice these days and get feedback, important feedback, even just by watching ourselves. PAR, I think, is a little bit easier. What was the problem, action, result, as opposed to challenge, action, result, but they're both basically the same. Whichever you prefer, whichever one is best, it's achieves the same thing, the same strategy. These are outcomes that we have to be aware of. You solved a problem, you created or built something, you developed an idea, you showed leadership, reduced costs, you saved time, you've been involved in a team effort that produced a specific result, you influenced productivity. Most people, when they go to the interview, they talk about the problem, they talked about the action, which is the solution, but they forget to talk about the result. So you need to talk about the result in order for them to get the message, because that's the language, that's music to an employer's ears. These are other results. You can email me after the presentation, and I'll send you a copy of just sort of an outline of a PDF. Actually, if you hang on a second here, let me just check if I can do a share with that for you. Yes, I can. Okay. So if you want to get in touch with me afterwards, ann.mossop@tdsb.on.ca. I've got this information and it gets you started on writing out examples and getting comfortable with this process. It's a much shorter statement on a resume. All good things that you need to be aware of. Get a hold of me and I'll send it out. Or I'll see if I can I'll get a hold of the list and I'll send it out. But better if you notify me. Okay, so let's get back to our accomplishments. I think we went by this already. Hang on a second. Yeah, and sorry. Results drive business, but people drive results. Employers know that. So, reflecting back on today's presentation, what do you need to start to do? Just write down a couple of things. I would say if you know what you're targeting, if you know what the title is of the job, if you're pretty sure about the sector and you're very specific, I would still recommend do some research. Make sure what industries you want to target. You can be very specific. and come up with a top 10 companies that you want to work for. Take the steering wheel in your hands and monitor those companies. And then you're feeling more like you have control. You can still job search, but monitor those top 10 companies. Who do you want to work for? You can make those choices. And you can target organizations and find out more. And we can help you with that too. So start, maybe 3 things. What do you need to stop? You know, just write down on anything. And probably, I think the 2 stop is probably procrastinate. So we're all guilty of it. But probably some other things that we could start doing that will, start getting active and going for a walk. Let's take the positive side of things. And we're probably doing some great things now. So what do I need to continue to do? Maybe you need to continue with the same effort. You just need to change how you're approaching. If you're not hearing anything, or if you're just not getting any response, you need to step back. You need to take a look at yourself and assess yourself. And before you can go back at it again. If we keep doing the same thing over and over again, the definition of insanity, Albert Einstein, I guess, said that, I think. So what are you going to start doing? What are you going to stop doing? And what are you going to continue to do? Well, if you've got any questions after today's presentation, please feel free to get in touch with me. I hope you've enjoyed my unusual outlook sometimes, or the way that I present. I just want to try and make it interesting and capture your attention. And I'm just going to skip by this. This is everybody on our team. You finally get to see all of us. On behalf of all of the Next Steps Employment Centers, thank you for joining me today. Thank you for coming out today. I hope you gained a lot of information and a lot of resources, and you have a lot of notes. I know some of you like notes, some of you don't. Please take our survey. It's really important to us. We need to report those that people are actively engaged in our workshops, and I think they are having a positive effect, and I think you are enjoying it. So please take our survey. Reflect on today's information and change your perspective. Do something different. Take care. Best from Ann Mossop, ANNMossop@tdsb.on.ca. Take care. Good luck in your job search.